Hi everybody, my name is Jim and welcome back to another episode of The Lake Effect Gardener. It is just stinking muggy out. Eek. I mean, the weather has been really hot. Really hot. And I like hot weather. I'm definitely a summer person. But yesterday it was well into the 90s, at least the heat index was. And I really had to spend time indoors. I really couldn't be out here for a long period of time. It was just hard to breathe. So we had a little bit of a cool off, so I'm out here. I'm not going to be showing you what's going on in the garden, although a lot has been going on, good and bad. I'll save that for another video, but that's not why we're here. Last week, I was doing my usual mowing, okay? I have a substantial backyard, okay? It's pretty sizely, and I do have a lot of grass. And don't get me wrong, I like having grass because, as you guys know, I use the grass as a mulch. I use it to, shade, feed, protect all of my plants, keep the weeds down and stuff like that. It's been a really wonderful resource. But I do have a lot of lawn. So I'm, pushing the mower back and forth, thinking to myself, I really don't need to have this much lawn. I really don't. I have plenty. In the front and in the back, I've got enough. So I'm thinking to myself, I need to mow less and grow more. Trees, shrubs, things like that. So this is going to be a cuttings video, okay? Something that I was toying around with last summer at this time, and I kind of blew it up and gave it all this hype, and then I never did it. I'm going to do it now. And first and foremost on my list for cuttings is actually going to be taking place in the front. So we're going to have a little rare sneaky peek at the front of my house. I want to show you what I'm going to get on for cuttings over there, and I'm going to explain what I'm going to be doing and how it goes. I'm sure you've all seen cutting videos before, but this is really the first for me where I actually do the cutting myself. I know I did the whatchamacallit, wisteria, okay? And incidentally, I think only one managed to take, so I might just abandon that project. But anyways, let's go out to the front. I've got my handy dandy shears here. I got a galvanized bucket, and we're gonna fill it up with some cuttings so that I can create something new and hopefully start kind of this domino effect where I can just take cuttings of things that I have here in order to fill out my yard, get rid of some of the lawn. It's time. Let's go. So we're just going to take a quick and rare look at the front of my house, just so you guys have an idea on what I'm planning on doing. Now the cuttings that I'm going to be taking, let me just give you a little view of my little border here. Now, once upon a time, in the front of this house, there used to be a hedge that ran along the front here. And over the years, I believe it was a mock orange Philadelphus hedge. Over the years, it just kind of died here and there for whatever reason. There was only maybe 4 or 5 shrubs left when I moved in, so I took them out. And this yard also had 2 very large maple trees that both died, and I replaced them with these 2 thundercloud plums and this crabapple tree. But what I want to do is I want to reinvent or replant the hedge, but I'm not going to be doing it with mock orange. Instead, I'm going to be doing that with this barberry, which grows really, really thick, and it really creates the perfect hedge if it's trained well. Barberries are really, really fast growing as well, and they do have thorns on them, so they're not the most, hospitable, but they do have lovely flowers in the spring, and then they have berries in the autumn. And let's see, you can maybe see right here some of the berries that are forming. Okay, so I'm going to take some cuttings of these, and I think I'm going to be rather judicious while I do that. I think I'm going to take about 50 or so cuttings. Okay, I'm going to be taking way more than I need, but I want to make sure that I have enough to create this hedge going around the front of the house. So I'm going to grab those cuttings right now. So here's my bucket of cuttings, and I took a bunch of lengths. At first I was taking, the lengths that perhaps I would like to, root themselves, but then I started taking larger cuttings. Now this is a mixture between hardwood and softwood and semi-softwood. There's a whole mixed bag here. Okay, but here's a length. All right, and if you're not familiar with the barberry, okay, they've had these really nice little delicate leaves. Okay, and typically what happens is you have a set of leaves, either 2 or 3, okay, and then directly behind that leaf, or those 2 leaves, you get the thorn. Okay, so that's how they grow. They're really interesting. And one thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about them up front was that you want to talk about 4 seasons of beauty. These really, they really do the job. So in spring, obviously, when they start to flower, they're just tiny little yellow flowers. They're really, really quite beautiful. And the foliage that comes out is bright acid green. So it gives a really, really big pop, which is nice. And who doesn't love to see that color in early spring? And then in the summertime, this is what it looks like usually. They're just, just a regular green color, nothing too fancy schmancy. In the autumn, they turn the most vivid, bright, gorgeous red, magenta. Sometimes you can find varieties that are variegated in pink, burnt umber, all sorts of really beautiful autumn shades. And then in the winter, when all the leaves fall off, you're left with those tiny little berries, and then the structure of the plant, which that's another thing. These kind of grow like waterfalls, okay? They'll grow kind of tall, and then they'll start to droop, almost similar to a bridal wreath spirea. This variety, I should say. So it's going to create quite a bit of show, which I'm really kind of excited about. They don't mind shade, and they don't mind full sun, so that's perfect. Okay, that's an easy thing to work with. They don't mind excessive moisture either. They're not terribly drought tolerant from what I've experienced, but I won't have to worry about that because, as you know, I get plenty of moisture here at the cottage. So, all right, enough of my babbling here. So I've got a decent length here, and I'm thinking to myself, I could probably get 2 really good cuttings out of this. And then on further inspection, I think I might get 3. Okay, as I said, these grow really, really fast. So we don't really have to worry about, I have to have a 6-inch cutting or whatever. I think I'm gonna take these down to about 3 or 4 inches, okay? And typically what you want to do with any kind of cutting is you want to cut right below a leaf node, okay? So I'm going to be cutting right here, right below, and what's really nice about these is that that thorn sticks out That's your designation on where to cut, okay? So here's one section here. And, okay, there's the thorn again. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm going to cut that again. So from that one cutting, I'm getting potentially 3 new starts, okay? And I did a lot in here. I need to take my time because these thorns, they can really, really hurt. Oh, but am I wearing gloves? No, I never do. But I'm going to get on with this. And then we'll come back and I'm going to show you what the next step is going to be. For all of those viewers out there who are, what am I trying to say? Intelligent? You'll want to wear gloves while you do this. I'm not being very intelligent right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep going with this. Okay, so I have here about 10 3-inch pots filled with just your basic run-of-the-mill potting compost or potting soil, okay? I tamped it down already. The soil is pretty moist already. Once I've, taken care of those cuttings, I will give them a bit of a water, but I've got 10. And remember, when you're doing cuttings, you can do multiple cuttings in one container, okay? I don't necessarily have to put one in each. Well, then I'll only have, potentially 10 shrubs, which I don't want that. I want, 5 times as much that. So I'm going to be doing 5 cuttings inside of each pot. When you take your cuttings, you want to remove a great deal of the lower foliage, okay? The roots are going to be coming out of where you have stripped the leaves or the leaf nodes. Now this is going to be a little bit different because of these thorns, but there are 2 different ways you could do this with barberry. The first is you could, if you wanted to, pick the leaves off. Okay, that was easy enough, but that for 50 cuttings is going to take me a great deal of time. So the thorn, if you notice, kind of grows upwards, all right? So I would almost say you could kind of treat this like you would a stinging nettle. If you know the direction of which the little needles go, then taking care of the plant itself can actually be quite easy and harmless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start above that thorn, okay? And I'm just going to run my fingers straight down, okay? The thorns bend, okay? They bend downwards. And because they are going up at an angle, you actually don't get hurt by them at all, okay? So that's simple and easy way to do it. So that's actually going to cut my time down quite a bit. And then you take your rooting hormone powder, okay? And I'm going to stick it in about 2 leaf nodes worth, just to give it a start. And then I'm just going to insert the cutting along the very edge of the pot, okay? And I'm going to go straight down to the bottom. I still have some leaf there. That's great, okay? It's going to need some of that leaf growth in order to create the roots. So super duper easy. Let's take another cutting here. This one's a little bit shorter, so I'm going to take a little bit more of the leaves off of it. So I'm just going to rip one and then run my thumb down. Give it a dip. And since I'm doing 5 and I'm a little OCD about things, I'm going to kind of imagine an imaginary star, okay? 5 points. And that's where I'm going to put my cuttings. So again, rip, find your thorn, run your fingers down. Easy peasy. No one's getting hurt in the makings of this video. Leaf, thorn, strip. It's actually quite relaxing. If it weren't so stinking humid today. Oh well. I was getting back to some of my subscribers through comments, and last garden video was all about preparing my growing for the fall and everything. Had some really, really great comments. And of course the subject of winter came up, and to tell you the truth, I would take this weather over winter any day. I know that come January, it's usually after Christmas. Come January, I am just so incredibly done with snow, and I want all of this going on. I don't want to take this weather for granted at all. All right. Now, I'm just going to keep on with this, guys. I do have a lot of leafy material. I'm just going to throw that into the compost pile, which is going to be wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to get on with this. I'll show you what it's going to look like. All right, I'm down to my last one now. This actually went pretty fast. I'm very pleased about that. Although, who doesn't love just a puttery job to do that doesn't take a lot of brute strength and force? Although I can't say that I haven't broken a sweat because it is just that miserably hot out right now. I mean, beautifully hot. All right, I'm going to move all of my green confetti here out of the way. All right. So, it literally took me, I think, from start to finish without, all the starting and stopping with the camera and stuff like that, about 15 minutes. That was it. And now I have 50 cuttings. Will I need this many? I don't think I will. I don't. If they all take, great. If they don't, I have the mother bush next to the house, so I can take plenty more. And if these do happen to root really well and really, really fast, I'm going to do a lot more, I think. Just kind of pepper them around and everything. They do like shade, and I do have quite a bit of shade in this yard, so. I think another thing that I might be working on in the way of cuttings will be elder, okay? My elder trees on either side of the patio, they're getting quite large, and I think I would like to propagate more so that I can have more. I really think they're glorious. I love the flowers on them, and of course the berries are absolutely incredible, not only for us but for the birds as well, which will help me kind of segue into Make Do Mondays, which is going to be coming up this Monday. And I did harvest nearly all of the elderberries off the elder trees, and that's going to be the topic of focus for Make Do Mondays. I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing with them, so make sure you tune into that. But yeah, easy peasy. It doesn't get any easier than this, and of course it's completely free. So my goal is to get rid of as much of the lawn as possible. I just want green. I want paths. I want it to be a little bit cooler back here. I don't want anything to obstruct the vegetable garden, so that, this area is going to be still very much full sun, but all the other little pockets around here just kind of want to fill up, lend some interest, maybe make some fun little paths through the yard, little different seating areas and whatnot. So, all right, well, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have barberry where you are, why don't you give this a go? It seems like it was easy enough. I mean, it really, really was. And I can't speak for, these plants as they are right now, but I have a pretty good feeling that I'm going to get some decent rooting off of these. one last thing before I say goodbye to you. I'm going to go put those on the big long table that's on the patio. If you guys recall from some of my other videos, my friend Jessica had given me those little tree seedlings, okay, the hawthorn, the crabapple, etc., etc. That's kind of like my cutting station. That's where I'm going to start putting all of my cuttings, just to keep them out of direct sunlight so they don't dry out really fast. Give them a little bit of midday sun, but you know, you've got to treat these babies, you've got to keep them, you know, pretty well sheltered so that they don't get harmed. Okay, and I just want to fill that table up with as many of them as I can. And then come the autumn, when things starts to cool down, I can either transfer these into the greenhouse or into the tunnel to give them even further protection. I also have a cold frame, which I never use, so perhaps they'll go in there as well. So if you want to expand your, you know, your repertoire when it comes to trees and shrubs and things like that, look no further than your own yard. Go ahead and give cuttings a try. It's simple, it's free, it's relaxing, okay? And think about 50 plants. All right, going to the you know, the big box store or the garden center. Think about how much 50 shrubs would cost you, okay? It's a good idea. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping in. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell so that you know exactly when I drop these videos, although they are awfully predictable as of late. And don't forget to leave your comments. I'm really getting to know my subscribers through these comments, which is lovely. I feel like, you know, I'm forming these wonderful friendships. It's not just, you know, talking to people from afar. It's really getting to know the people who are, you know, on this journey with me. So keep those comments going. I love them so much. All right. Take care, everybody. I'll see you soon this Monday for a Make Do Monday. So long.